Well, good morning. Ran a little bit late today. We're having some technical things. I don't know what's going on. It keeps shutting off on me. We'll see if it does it again. If it does, we'll try it another time. There's a story in Luke chapter 18 that I wanted to talk about. It's one that you probably have heard before. As a matter of fact, it's a very common one that we hear all the time. It's a story where Jesus says, I tell you the truth, it's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Truly I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. You ever heard the story? You know the story. It's when the rich young ruler comes to him and Jesus tells him what he's got to do. And when he hears what he's got to do, then he goes away sorrowful because he's not going to receive Jesus or follow Christ because he would have to give up too much, he believes. Jesus then turns to the people that are listening. He says it's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven, and then gives that odd phrase that says, I tell you the truth, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter heaven. Paul says that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, which we know is absolutely true. And it is difficult. The psalmist wrote, Lord, make sure that I don't have so much that I don't feel a need for you, and make sure that I don't have so little that I steal and dishonor you. It's that middle class that has the best chance of receiving Jesus because they feel their need for him, but they don't have so little that they're going to dishonor him. But that story is an odd one, isn't it? A camel going through the eye of a needle? That just seems really weird. I mean, how would a camel go through the eye of a needle? Until you know this truth, until something I learned, I should say this fact. The story goes that in Jerusalem, it's surrounded by a wall to protect the city, obviously. There are several gates. One of those gates is called, you guessed it, the eye of a needle. And it's built so that an enemy can't rush in, an army can't come through that gate, even though it's left open all the time. An enemy can't come through that gate and rush the city and attack it because it's just too small. It's too low. Now, if a merchant wants to come in, he can come in and bring his wares loaded on the back of his camel. But the only way he can get in the city is if he takes his camel and hits it in the back of the knees to knock it down on its knees. Then he can take the reins and duck down through the gate, and he can pull his camel through, as the camel is bellowing and fighting him every step of the way, or knee drag of the way, as it were. And then he can come in the city, but that camel's first got to get on its knees. Isn't that a neat story? To know that the way we get into heaven is we humble ourselves. That's the point. Except that's not true. That part of the story, I heard it and I thought it was just so great, and found out that is not true. That most likely, most scholars believe that there was a common phrase that was used back then that people would just say, that's like a camel going through the eye of a needle, to describe something that seems so difficult that it just couldn't be done. Similar to a mountain being cast into the depths of the sea, by the way, but something that was so hard that you couldn't imagine. And so the question that they asked right after Jesus says it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, which was literally just a phrase that you say. I mean, imagine the eye of a needle and a camel going through it. How would that actually happen? They said this is what they said. Those who heard this said, then who in the world can be saved? I mean, if it's so hard for a rich man who would want to buy his way into heaven, who would seem to have God's favor, because that's what they believed in the day. If you had a lot of money, then it meant God favored you. He liked you. If you were poor, it's because God didn't care for you very much. So they said, well, who then can be saved? This is what Jesus' response was. And why I want to say it today is because it's so relevant to us today. That's what he said. He replied, what is impossible for people is possible for God. Now that's where I want to go today. Do you believe that? Do you believe that what is impossible for people is possible for God? I know most of us, if you're listening today, most of us believe that God can do all things. Like, my God is so big, so strong, and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. That's what we used to sing. We believe that he's strong and he's mighty. There's nothing he can't do except overcome this cancer. Because the doctors have said that would be impossible. Except get me out of this financial hole. Because all the financial people said it's impossible. My friends have told me stories of them never being able to get out of it, so it must be impossible. And God can't do that. And even if we think that he can do it, will he do it? I think that's a big problem too. And what Jesus is pointing out is that man can't do it, but God can. And that's so important for us to remember. God can do whatever. If you're in a fiery furnace, he can make it cool in that furnace, and you can survive it. You know, if there's a mountain standing in your way, then through the power of Jesus Christ, you can say that mountain be cast in the depths of the sea, and it'll be done for you. You understand there's nothing that's impossible for God. Nothing. And if you embrace that, if you trust that, if you live that, then it changes everything, doesn't it? Everything that happens in our lives, we know that God can do anything he wants. Now, he is in his heavens and he does as he pleases. But to know that God can do anything is a game changer for you and for me. That relationship that just has gone south and you can't get it back, and it's been years since you've even spoken to them, and it just hurts your heart and aches every single day. Maybe it's a son or a daughter, a mom or a dad, a best friend that's been a friend for so long, and something divided you, and you just feel like it's impossible for the God to heal that. Ask him. Ask him. Believe that with God it is possible. And believe by the power of God that anything can happen. He knows the plans he has for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. God loves you and wants to see great things happen in your life. And so often we just think, well, that's impossible. It's too expensive. It's the health is too far gone. The friendship is too far removed. Whatever it is. I mean, it could be other things in your life. It could be whatever it is in your life. Understand that you could say to Jesus, who then can be saved from this dire predicament? Now, this was entering heaven. But is it true that God can do anything? Do you believe today that God can do anything? Anything? That all things are possible? Embrace that thought. If you are nodding your head, yes, embrace it. If you thought in your heart, he can do anything. I just needed a reminder. Then embrace that today and know that he'll do it. He'll do it in your life, believer. According to his will. So go to him. Bring whatever you want. Cast all your cares on him because he cares for you. And let him do things that you once thought were impossible. Camel going through a needle? That'd be pretty hard. But with God, all things are possible. With God, camels go through the eyes of needles. Well, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you enjoy this great weather. And we're moving into the weekend. Have a great weekend. We will be back, not tomorrow, not Saturday, but on Sunday at 11 o'clock right here at Liberty Hill Baptist Church for our worship service. You can tune in right here on my Facebook profile and check that out. It'll also be on YouTube. Make sure you share this today, and you share also, subscribe also on YouTube, the channel, The Dirt Road, and hit that bell icon so you can be notified of this video going up and others just like it, so you can stay tuned to great content. Just encouraging you. Just want to be an encouragement to you in your day. All right? So I want you to have a great day in the meantime, and I will see you on Sunday, Contemporary Worship Service in our Fellowship Hall, and in our worship center, our traditional blended music. And then we will come together for a message from Jude. It's going to be great. If you're in the Henry County area, we invite you to join us for either one of our music offerings and then come together for the message. And I will see you then. Have a great day. Bye-bye.